Yeah, hey, welcome back to Score on Business. We're still with Shelly Gary. So, Shelly, what are the most important concepts to remember when an organization's creating their training program?
I think, it can sound like a daunting task. We're starting from scratch, starting a training program, or we're, completely remodeling our training program, and we don't even have the staff on board to do this. I would really challenge those organizations to kind of think big but act small.
Right.
Industries such as like manufacturing and healthcare, they have turnover rates of over 30%. So if you can move the needle, create programs and actions in place to move that needle 3 to 4 points, that makes a huge difference in your bottom line as a company. So number one, I would say just take it in small bits.
Yeah.
And be targeted. So know where your gaps are. And you have a great resource to know where your gaps are, your training gaps are, is by the people walking out the door.
Right.
Exit interviews. Work Institute, which is a local organization that runs a lot of stats on why companies lose, employees, or they're, having retention problems. They conducted 36,000 exit interviews, and over 21% of the individuals who left companies, they were leaving because of better career development in another company.
Right.
Only 9% were leaving because of salary, which, someone's first thought is, oh, they must not be getting paid enough.
Yeah.
Well, that's not, that trend is becoming more and more not the case.
Well, and this show is for small business and entrepreneurs, they're not going to have an unlimited budget.
Absolutely.
And I suspect this is why you're doing what you're doing. The frontline manager has an awful lot to do with retention, which is maybe why you've done this, but
absolutely,
helping people understand how to manage others, and and then another step would be evaluating how they're doing.
Absolutely. So having numbers in place to really know your ROI.
Yeah.
What's your turnover costing you?
Right.
Getting your head around that, and then knowing how to measure that and what that's going to end up being your cost savings, and really measure that against what you're going to invest into keeping your people, whether it be training or incentives. Yeah. That's a huge step, and in a small business, every dollar counts.
Yes.
They don't have the budget of corporation. So, if you have 2 managers in your company, and those 2 managers, are creating your culture.
Right.
So making sure that they have the tools to do their day-to-day job and are able to keep your frontline folks, that's a huge part, because you're going to be pulled back into the interview process, and your time needs to be on strategy and selling.
And it sounds like a big part is just having a plan and doing it.
Absolutely, creating that plan.
And then, people start a company and they're an entrepreneur and start doing well, they might not have leadership skills.
Absolutely. So knowing where your gaps are as well.
Right.
So you're really good at talking to people and selling and creating strategy, but you're not very good at keeping your staff focused. Well, maybe you need some help in that within your company.
Yeah.
To really, lift that weakness up and not hurt your team because of that.
Right. So you've been a management consultant for a long time, where your role was to go in and kind of find out where problems were. Probably a lot of the problems had to do with frontline management, which is why you're doing what you're doing now. But tell us what you see that companies do that's especially self-defeating.
Absolutely, and you're right. I did see a huge gap in the tools out there for small businesses to have management training, which is why I switched paths. But I would say throwing out initiatives or ideas before they're formulated to a point of actionable, that is a huge, and because as entrepreneurs, you want to think, big picture, and maybe I could try this and try that, and a lot of times that just confuses the staff of, I thought we were going to try this, but now we're just doing the old stuff.
Yeah.
Or, it's not until it's formulated and you have action items. I'd be really careful about telling your team about initiatives.
Right. So a leader, and entrepreneurs especially, are, you know, idea people. But what I'm hearing from you is you can't, if in 1 year, if you have 10 objectives, you probably won't get them done. No. If you have 2 objectives
exactly
and focus on those, you probably will get them done.
Absolutely. And if you reiterate those and keep driving the point home that we are still focused on this, and if you have bigger ideas or things you think can move the needle more quickly, I would have a peer group outside of your company to talk to. Mentors or peers, other, a round table, to really hash those out before you take them to your team. And just throw them out there, because they're going to start thinking, wow, we're changing directions, and I guess we're not doing what we used to, and kind of cause controversy where there doesn't need to be.
Just clear communication keeps coming up over and over.
That's right. It's a big part. It is a big part.
And sending a message consistently. That you can't tell folks one time and have it sink in.
Absolutely. Just repeating it if it's important to your company, your culture, and even if it's 3 initiatives or 3 things for your culture, keep repeating it and make sure they understand.
Shelly, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and ladies and gents, we'll see you next week. Bye now.